Perhaps there are those among the viewing audience who marvel and wonder at the fact that I am so dedicated to revealing secrets of the God force, of the powers of your consciousness, the secrets of the occult, the secrets of magic, the secrets of divine magic. It is my contention, it is my belief that changing your inner world changes the consciousness of the matrix forever, like waves rippling out to sea. Dear esteemed, honored, noble, and notable viewer, notable as in your name has been notated within the Book of Magic, have you ever heard of the 100th monkey effect? If we get enough of the world population to awaken to the ascension process, we will bring the collective consciousness to the tipping point. This will usher in a new time of peace, awareness, compassion, and light. The work starts with you, integrating your shadow aspects, healing your traumatized inner child, getting in touch with your true self, and finding the most effective way you are destined to help humanity. Passion equals purpose. You must discover your passion, and it is my passion to spread the light, to spread gnosis, to spread knowledge, because masters of the occult have since ancient times used methods similar to military warfare in order to place themselves into a position of ultimate dominance and control over others. These psychic occult manipulations are practically identical to the subtle and deceptive movements found in political and military maneuvers. Indeed, the modern military term and practices of psychological warfare can be historically shown to have their origins in the teachings of the occult. Simply stated, the occult seeks to control the mind of the individual, and through control of the mind, controls the person's body and actions. Manipulations of the mind to control behavior are certainly not limited in scope. Our entire Western civilization is based upon and built upon the public entertainment media, all of which is built upon the premise of entering the individual's mind for the sake of manipulating individual behavior. Why else do you think companies spend billions of dollars each year on advertisements? Their sole purpose is to create a performance that will grab your attention with the intent that it persuades you to purchase their product. But not up in here. It is the express mission, the express endeavor purpose of the Aumbonda New Earth Ashram to peel back the shadow that lays across this land, to dispel the shadow through the light of gnosis. Now, modern advertisements use the ancient artist's subtlety, placed ever so cautiously throughout all forms of public entertainment, movies, televisions, radio, computers, to silently persuade us to accept and embrace what it is they are selling, whether this be a product for money or ideas and beliefs to influence our thoughts and behavior. We so proudly proclaim how we live in a free society. Yeah, we are so terribly blind to the truth as to how much we are really enslaved. Now, in order to understand the mechanics of how the powers of the occult work, we must first understand some standard laws of natural physics. The fundamental principle of all is that the occult operates by manipulating the laws of nature, both those commonly known and those less commonly known. Ultimately, all the occult does is manipulate natural law. Although some will refer to occult powers as supernatural, the term supernatural has to be understood as a relative value. In other words, we define the term supernatural to refer to those things that operate outside of the forces of nature. However, there is nothing in creation that operates outside of nature. That's right, because all is from God. God has created this entire shit show. Excuse me, God. Everything is in nature. Everything is from the mind of God. It is just that our definition and perceptions of nature might be very limited. For example, 2 centuries ago. To have spoken about airplanes, computers, and cell phones would have sounded supernatural because the technologies underlying them were completely unknown and unimaginable. Now, today, we can speak about what for us may be fantasy, supernatural inventions, but in another 200 years' time might be everyday reality. So, much of modern psychology and mind manipulations used daily in the media have their source in the occult. What was understood by a very few long ago is today understood by many more. Instead of guarding the secrets of how the human mind works and interacts with impressions of sound and light, those once secret occult teachings are now taught openly in universities under the names of science. The results are unfortunately the same today as they were centuries ago. Those who learn the ways of manipulating the human mind take control of human behavior. The human mind, house of consciousness and the soul, still operates within the organic chemistry of the physical brain. The brain is an organism like all others. It is influenced by stimulations coming from outside of it. Brains are influenced by sounds, lights, and brainwave projections, all emanating from outside. The human brain cannot turn itself off. It is always open to receiving these stimuli. An adept trained in recognizing how his brain works or her brain works makes great efforts to recognize all influences to which he may or she may become subjected to. This training requires an adept to delve within the recesses of his mind to explore whatever thoughts and feelings reside there. He is taught techniques how to investigate without emotion and how to analyze with clear and coherent rationale what is actually happening within his own inner space. Inside his own mind, the adept comes into contact with his or her own true self and becomes conscious of a reservoir of information and knowledge that has flowed into one's mind, usually at the unconscious level, from sources other than the normal external stimuli accessed through the consciousness centers of the brain. Adepts learn, even as later Jungian psychoanalytical research has discovered, that the human mind, soul, the psyche, actually has access to realms beyond the limitations of the physical brain and thus can travel freely in time and space. By all means, look up the CIA Gateway experiment from the Monroe Institute that has proven beyond a shadow of doubt that consciousness exists separate from the physical genetic vehicle. In other words, an adept can train his mind to travel into realms detached from physical reality. This does not make such experiences supernatural. On the contrary, this is very natural. It is simply an aspect of nature that has not yet been cultivated by and incorporated into the masses. In fact, the masses have been purposely dumbed down. The base of the pyramid, the 13th level, the sheep, the resources, you're just nothing but a battery for the Illuminati. But here, adepts learn that while exploring the recesses of their own inner space, that they can just as easily access the inner space of the minds of others. Therefore, with the proper alteration of consciousness and directed focus of thought, the adept of the occult can project his own thoughts into the minds of others, all the while making that other think that the new thoughts or feelings are their own. The adept is able to conceal his tracks, and thus he can influence other minds from a distance completely undetected. The one under such influence has no idea that she is thinking thoughts not his own. The one under such influence may sometimes feel compelled to act in certain ways, often out of one's character. Only afterwards does one wonder what possessed them to act in such a way. This can be true on both the individual and collective level, depending on the force of influence. The exploration of the inner workings of the mind takes the consciousness of the adept into new and previously unknown places. A full explanation and description of these is beyond our present scope in this information dissemination broadcast from the Aumbonda New Earth Ashram. However, one point every adept learns very early along his path is that in his travels he is certainly not alone. Just as our physical world is inhabited by numerous others, so too are the other realms into which the mind travels, also inhabited by indigenous beings of those places. In religions, these others are given names like demons and angels. Yet these mythical terms do almost nothing to describe the actuality of the different races that one can encounter. We live in a large universe, and all that great distance in outer space is easily and quickly traversed by traveling through a medium different from space. Travel at the speed of thought is instantaneous throughout physical space. When one travels into the inner space of the mind, one accesses doorways that actually enable one to travel through consciousness to other places in the universe, as well as into other dimensions of parallel being. Now, while this will sound mystical to many and nonsensical to others, the occult adept just responds with a coy smile, knowing how uneducated such comments are and how easily he can enter into the mind of the ignorant and cause them untold havoc. Indeed, occult adepts usually train by picking an unsuspecting victim and project thoughts into that one's mind until that one succumbs and does as commanded, all the while completely unaware that she has fell victim to such a psychic attack. This type of behavior is ancient. We even find references to this in the Bible. In the days of Jeremiah the prophet, there were witches living in Jerusalem. These occult adepts would hire out their services and use their psychic training to tap into the souls of the unsuspecting and slowly but surely drain out of them life and the will to live. Today, with the growing proliferation of psychological depression and baffling diseases like chronic fatigue, one should ask just how much of an occult component is active here. Knowledge of occult activity is a closely guarded secret. One who has an advantage never lets others know of his advantage. He guards his knowledge and thus protects his secret. If everyone else knew what he was doing and how, they would be able to learn to do the same and protect themselves from the malicious attacks from others. Such knowledge and defense would break the back of most novice occultists. Of course, the masters have even greater knowledge along with allies and associates to support and reinforce their activities. The reality of the occult is often dismissed and even mocked by the ignorant. Unfortunately, we have no shortage of ignorant individuals amongst us. Please hit the subscribe button. Even more unfortunate is that the ignorant are often leaders in academia who believe in the supreme value of their logic and rationale. They have no idea what they are missing and how open they are to the very powers they deny exist. Judging from the despicable behavior we often see coming from members of the overly rational academic community, we can wonder how many of them have already fallen victim to the ire or the wrath of some offended occultists. In religious circles, almost all rabbis are ignorant of the occult. In biblical and Talmudic times, mastery of occult knowledge was a prerequisite for an elder to take a seat in the Sanhedrin. This knowledge was at one time required learning by all sages to recognize and know how to combat malevolent occult forces. Unfortunately, as Torah learning was transformed into an exclusively rational endeavor, knowledge of the occult fell to the wayside. As such, entire communities were left powerless to recognize occult forces working to destroy them. In the end, as we all know, European Jewry, the crown of religious rationalism, fell victim to the Nazis, a movement founded in the occult and dedicated to enacting its tenets. Amongst rabbis of Middle Eastern and Oriental origins, where the infection of European rationalism has had little sway, knowledge of the occult and how to deal with it has remained intact since Talmudic day. Numerous books on the various subjects are available in many Jewish bookstores. However, even those who buy them and read them seldom understand them. Some knowledge, however accessible, can remain a closely guarded secret until one is taught how to understand it properly. And for this, one needs more than just the book. One needs a teacher. The teacher passes on knowledge that no book could ever provide. The student's job is to receive it. He is the receiver. Does not Kabbalah mean to receive? Now, you know where I'm coming from and to where we will be going in future video information dissemination broadcasts from the Aumbonda New Earth Ashram for compassion, strength, and the occult sciences. So please, open your mind and let's begin this journey together. Hit the subscribe button and leave this video a thumbs up as it indicates to the algorithm that it is time to spread the gnosis of the light. Namaste. Namaskaram.